So into the charts we go. Take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin did test that 30,500 level yesterday, piercing it by just a fractional amount. And what has happened? We have seen Bitcoin pull back off of that level. Remember, this is that high end of the major wall, the epic wall here of resistance. This is a level that I've talked about with you guys now for quite some time. Remember, this is the level that if we can get above and establish ourselves above, then it gives credence to maybe a bottom being in on crypto in terms of Bitcoin at 15,700 or so. As long as we stay below, and again, what I mean by that is as long as we don't get above and actually stay there for 5 to 7 days. Remember, that consolidation is going to be key. You don't want to just see a pop above. We've already seen that, in fact, with a little pierce. We don't want to see a close above and then basically a day or two above. I want to see a good, hearty holding of this technical level. And again, if we can get that, then you can argue that the lows are in per the probabilities. And this is the difference maker here, folks. There's so many people out there that are so emotional right now. And again, it's really remarkable to kind of bear witness to. In fact, it is so absolutely reminiscent of when I was saying, hey, be careful at 69,000 on Bitcoin, and everyone was saying, oh, you're insane, we're going to be at 100,000 by the end of November of 2021, and obviously we know what happened from that point on. So again, the euphoria out there is palpable. It is, you can see it almost. I mean, it's to that level of where you're getting people to, and I was even reading something else, someone else there was saying that, oh, my best friend's sister was calling me about crypto, I went to the store, the clerk was asking me about crypto, same exact thing. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because you have to start recognizing these signals, all right? And number one, not only recognizing it, but then not falling into the kind of repetitive mistake of FOMOing in. All right, that is the key. All right, when you see euphoria, you step back, and if you don't short it, at least you don't buy the euphoria. You don't ape in, as they say. All right, that is so important as we see Bitcoin at 29,900 here. Again, not down a lot off of yesterday's highs, but ultimately, again, the resistance is working. We watch it here. We see what happens. Obviously, I am short on Bitcoin via the trade signals and also via, obviously, Ethereum as well in that same situation off of this level. All right, so let's continue to follow up here. So number one, the Federal Reserve released their minutes. So actually, number one, let's go back to this morning. The CPI data came out. The CPI data came out a little bit better than expected. The markets opened up, but I did my live broadcast. I don't know, for those of you that don't know this, on Wednesdays at 9 a.m., I do a live YouTube broadcast kind of going over the charts, what's the big data of the day, stuff like that. In any case, I talked about it this morning on that broadcast. You can find it on my Twitter, the link to it, or on YouTube, my YouTube as well. But the bottom line is we were opening higher, or at least the markets were looking like they were going to open sharply higher on the back of the CPI data. Now, if you delve into the CPI data, one of the interesting things is if you strip out food and energy, which is core, the number actually upticked on it. All right. In addition, so number one, that was a negative for me. That was a warning signal. Number two, in my head, and I talked about this morning in this very thing, I said, be careful about the stock market, especially gapping up, because there's PPI data tomorrow, then there's bank earnings on Friday, then next week we get tech earnings coming out. There's not going to be a lot of big money that's going to want to all of a sudden jump into the market here with all that lurking out there. And sure enough, what happens? Markets ended up collapsing. I got to show you this chart of the S&P here, the spiders, because again, it shows what happened. So here was the spiders, right? So right out of the gate, we were opened higher, we sold off, we bounced, we then sold off, we then bounced, and then look at the fall here in the day, and we have the S&P down on the day pretty decently at this point. Same thing with the technology markets. We are trading lower on those as well. So just a little tidbit there to kind of keep your zone in. And again, by the way, I now have a mindset peak performance coach in the office here, which is fantastic to kind of keep me on point. But again, so much of investing is done in the mental mind. It's about not getting caught up and being able to see the pitfalls and being able to see the issues and the mistakes that you make and correct them properly. So much of it is all about the mental side of investing. Like, I can teach anyone how to read a chart. Here's a topping tail, here's a bottoming tail, here's a head and shoulders pattern, here's a time count, here's a confirmation, a breakout that's confirmed, here's a breakout that hasn't confirmed. All of that is very structured. It is what it is. It's a black and white. What I can't help you with is the mental side. That's something that we all have to strive for and work on ourselves. Now, again, can I guide you in the right direction? Absolutely. But ultimately, it's going to come down, do you implement the stuff mentally to get yourself on point where you don't ape in crazy moves, when you sit back and you don't get that FOMO in your belly that said, oh my God, I got to go long, all these, it's going to be alt season, all this stuff, right? So that's the key here, folks. And anyways, going back to Bitcoin here, as we go back to that, we'll continue to follow it and see where we are. Now trading just a hair below 29,900. Again, the big things, by the way, number one, support on Bitcoin, 28,600-ish, 700-ish right there. That was that former resistance. Now it's support. Then we have this level at 26,700 right here, and then obviously 25, and then eventually down here. Resistance remains the big one right here, down-sloping trend line, flat level here. If we break above that, you'll have a few levels along the way, one around 34 to 35,000, and then this 43 to 44,000 level right there. All right, in any case, I digress from a kind of the mental side of things, but it's so important, folks. I can't stress that enough. It is so, so important. Here's your Ethereum chart today. Ethereum had a down day yesterday when Bitcoin was up. Notice again, here was your high pivot on Ethereum literally a week ago, and we still haven't taken that out. So Ethereum still is lagging Bitcoin a little bit, as we've seen the alts. I mean, in general, the altcoins have lagged. We've seen a few of the alts start to play catch up, like Solana. We'll go over that chart again today. That's had a pretty good move over the last couple days. But there's been other alts like Polygon Matic, which is just, I mean, the performance is atrocious in the near term here. Maybe it'll start perking up. We'll have to watch and see. In any case, on Ethereum, we basically know the level here. If it continues up, you have a $2,000 price target here. That would be your upside resistance point. And if we start to break this trend line, look at how we hit it again today right there. You can see that little tail touching that level. If that breaks and we start to confirm back in this blue box or this blue channel, then you could actually trade all the way down to about $1,470, maybe $1,500 by the time price were to get there. All right. So that's what we have there. Speaking of Matic, let's just take a quick gander at that one. Matic, look at that, breaking down, breaking key support right here. So ultimately, to me, Matic probably has downside to about $1.03. That would be your next level. Now, it hasn't confirmed this break yet, so I mean, you can give it a little bit of rope here. But ultimately, just the fact that it's not participating in any sort of upside is definitely problematic on Matic's front there. So again, that's something that would catch my eye and be a warning sign. Cardano, guys, Cardano's inched up a little bit. Again, it's a nice move, but still, unlike Bitcoin, which has made a new higher high, we haven't seen that on Cardano yet. So again, Cardano, not too shabby. I want to show you this trend line. Very, very cool trend line right here from these tops right down, and look at that. Look at today's high and this high. So this high, it matches perfectly with, yesterday's high right there from this pivot top. So that is your short-term resistance. If we retrace, where are we retracing to? This level right down here. That will be your key level right there of support, which is again 34 cents, 35 cents, right around that level. Okay? So again, let's keep our wits about us. Let's keep our eyes on the prize, as you will. Keep, again, emotion at a minimum. That is so, so important. I can't stress that enough, how important emotion works against you, especially in investing. There are certain periods where it's good to have emotion in life, obviously in love and things like that. But for the most part, when it comes to business, and that means business, not just investing, but business in general, emotion gets you in trouble. In fact, emotion in a lot of situations gets you in trouble. In fact, one of the things I notice, especially I become more aware of this in my everyday life, but if you're out on driving on the roads and you see one of these people with road rage and like someone doesn't go the split second the light turns green, they're like honking and stuff like that, I can guarantee that person would not be a good investor or trader. In fact, they're probably dirt poor because they can't invest and do anything like that because they're way too emotional. The best investors in the world are the ones that, again, that type of stuff, the little, you hear the words, don't sweat the small stuff. That's the key. That is the key. If you're sweating the small stuff, then when you get in a trade and it's going against you, you're not going to think logically. When you're seeing, cryptos ripping higher, you're not going to think logically and wait for a pullback up to a technical level. And again, that's what I'm talking about, that mental side, that ability to kind of compartmentalize other things in life that don't matter and not getting bothered by them. And so again, just think about that. Think about that when you're driving. Do you start to get emotional when someone does something, when someone cuts you off? Like, are you ready to, do something drastic? Or do you like, all right, you know what, no big deal. I won't even remember this in 5 minutes that someone did this. Why would I stress my own body? By the way, I'm not a health expert by any stretch, but all of that goes into health too, by the way. Stress is like the number one killer, right? I mean, it's ultimately what causes the repercussions in our lives that ultimately leads to many of the chronic illnesses that this, the world displays on us as humans and so forth, that we ultimately bring on ourselves. All right. Anyways, by the way, just a side note there, but let's keep going. Let's go rock and roll here. What's Solana doing? Let's see what Solana's doing. You can see again Solana moving up. Now, interesting to watch. Solana's right now would confirm if it closed above right here. Let's see where it is later today. Basically, any close above 23.75 would confirm the breakout, which would solidify this as a buyback target right down here. If it doesn't confirm, then you don't have that level. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. Avalanche, let's see what we got on Avalanche. Avalanche, again, yesterday was not bad, but coming right back in today. Not super strong on Avalanche. It is above this trend line, unconfirmed though. And again, unconfirmed is a very important aspect to the chart. We can take a look at Polkadot real quick. And again, I'm not going to go through too many charts here, as again, most of these alts are just not performing that well. Nothing going on that. How's Dogecoin doing? Let's take a look. Yep. Look at Doge. Broke below, retrace, and now coming back in there. And again, I think Doge comes actually back to about right here. This is going to be your first big support on Doge, this consolidation area around 0.0775, right in that vicinity. That should be your first level of technical support. So in any case, the bottom line is Bitcoin, a little bit of a pullback off the technical level that we've discussed, right? That those trend lines dictated. Doesn't mean it can't break above. This is just the make it or break it level for, to me, a technical bottom in Bitcoin. Okay, and again, it's not just getting above. It's got to stay above. I can't stress that enough. There is so much big money that preys on retail investors and traders where the big money says, hey, listen, if we can just get Bitcoin to go above a little bit of this level, above 30,000. I mean, look at where it's been. It's been basically hovering at or above 30,000 until just today for the last 12 hours or so. Then the big money says, we'll coax in. Number one, we'll get shorts to stop out, and we'll coax in those last few kind of on the fence players to get bullish and buy in. And then we can sell into those people. I mean, that's what the mentality is, folks. The mentality to be, okay, now we can sell into them. We dump it. There's the top. And all of a sudden the collapse comes. People left holding the bag. I mean, this stuff goes on. This is how the world works. You got to learn the games. There's no sense getting upset about it like we just talked about. I mean, again, there's no sense in me getting all riled up about these games. Just learn it. Learn it and use it. You know, that's the thing, is learn the rules that people play by or institutions play by, and don't fall into the traps. That's all there is to it. Get control of your emotions. That's all there is to it. Really is. All right. Anyways, guys, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Good stuff today. I love angling into that mindset, into that peak performance type stuff. And again, I'll bring more of that to you guys with Jessica, who we've hired in the office here, and she is just on point, keeping me on point to keep you guys on the right track in the investing world. Take care.